I've just been looking at this M.A.S.K Switchblade. It's an awesome toy by Kenner from way back in the 1980s. I've just got hold of this one. Only this one isn't from me. This one is from my good friend Luke at Reynolds Reviews. You see, it's going to be his birthday shortly, and I want to send him a tip-top condition switchblade because I know he loves his M.A.S.K. Now, this one has some issues at the moment, so I'm going to do some restoration before I put it in the box and send it off to him. So let's go and restore. Alright, let's take a look and see what actually needs to be done on this switchblade. On the whole, it's in really nice condition. It's complete, so that's a really good start. We have Miles Mayhem and his mask, so that's fantastic. We have the figure. We also have underneath the bomb, and this is often missing, so it's fantastic to have that. Now the main problem is around the propellers here at the top. This vehicle is a helicopter and it transforms into a jet. So it's a pretty neat vehicle, this is really awesome. If I open out the propellers, the first problem is that this propeller doesn't lie flat, so I need to try and fix that. Now the main problem seems to be around this propeller here. The idea is that when it goes into plane mode, this propeller stays down. But as you can see on this one, it just pops up. There's a button here that when you press it, it should release the propeller again. So there's something between this button and maybe a spring inside, or I don't know what it is right now, we need to find out. But there's something wrong there that needs to be fixed. The chrome on these pieces here is worn, so I'd like to re-chrome that. This thing needs a damn good clean. It's really, really mucky. So what I think I'm going to do is take this apart, basically. I have taken apart other M.A.S.K vehicles, and yeah, generally inside they are quite sophisticated, so hopefully we'll be able to get this back together again. But I'm going to take it apart, clean it all up, see if we can fix this mechanism on top, and we'll chrome these pieces here. And once I've done that, this is going to look really, really smart. So I'm just looking to see how to open this up, and looks like I have screws all underneath here. So that's where I'm going to start. Okay, so I think I've got all the screws out of the bottom here, so I should be able to open this up. Looks like I've missed a screw in the top here. Okay, now I can feel it's opening up. Right, let's see, everything's going to spring out now, I think. Oh yeah, springs flying everywhere probably inside. Oh, this is going to be fun to try and put back together. What could be? Okay, I've got pieces falling out now. Yeah, when you start opening up a M.A.S.K vehicle, this is the experience I've had before, you just get springs flying out everywhere. It's really, really disconcerting, but I'm going to keep going. For some unknown reason though, it is not opening at the front. I just need to work out why. Sometimes there are screws hiding under the stickers, but I don't feel any. So why is this not opening up? Now, when this video actually goes out, Luke should have already received this, so at that point, I've got it all back together and it's all working properly. But right now, it's just proving to be a little bit tricky. But that one's clicked open. Let's go this side as well. This looks quite harsh at the moment, but I think it may just be a little bit of glue, I'm not sure, or it's just clipped in there. Just being gentle, just that last little bit. There we go, got it. So, now everything's falling out. Right, let's take this top off. There we go, lots of springs, and oh my word, how are we going to get that all back together? I do not know. I've literally just spent about the last hour working out where all the bits go back in, because when I opened this thing, everything's under tension and it just sprung out all over the place. So if anyone else is going to be opening up a switchblade and is wondering where all the pieces go, there you are, there's your reference for you. I've also done some test runs to get the top back on. That's also fiddly, but I know how to do that. I'm in a really good place now. So the next step is to take a look at this mechanism at the top and see if we can get this to work. Now, the idea is that you push them down and they're supposed to stay down. I don't know if you can see, but right in there is a little latch that's supposed to keep the blades down. And then this button here releases that latch. But as you can see, the latch doesn't stay in place, which means this just keeps popping up and down. What I'm going to do is basically take all this stuff out of here so we can get a good closer look. Right, this looks fairly trivial. There are just 2 screws, but I know from experience that as soon as you undo anything inside a MASK vehicle, because everything is under tension, it all goes flying all over the place. So put those screws down there for the moment, and then we'll lift this up. There we go. There's a spring there. Oh, there's several springs. Here we go. Keep that spring safe. Piece there. Okay, and we've got several cogs in here. I'm going to sort out where they go later. Right, now we've got a little bit more access. That's the lever with the latch, I believe. Now, where is the latch? I can't even see the latch. It's there on the top. There we go. So this is the lever with the latch. I've got to work out now why it's not staying in place. I wonder if there's another spring that's supposed to be in here that is missing. That's what I've got to work out. Before I do that though, I want to try and take these chrome pieces out while I have access. Let's see. Looks like it's just held in with a tab. That's simple. Thank goodness for that. Right, let's get those 2 out. This one's proving a little bit more difficult. There we are, we've got it. Okay, 2 chrome pieces. Let's get those re-chromed. Right, I've got some very fine wet and dry sandpaper here. I'm just going to rough up the chrome, which will give me the ability to get a nice coverage when I use the chrome pen. You will have seen these pens before. It's the Molotow liquid chrome pen. These are fantastic for just touching up your smaller chrome pieces. So I'm just going to do that now for these pieces here, for the Switchblade. Make sure I get a nice covering. I've found with these pens, the best thing to do is cover it as quickly as possible and try not to go back over an area that you've already done, because once this starts drying and getting tacky, when you go over it again, it totally ruins the shiny chrome effect. So the best thing to do is get it on there as quickly as possible, and then, to be honest, leave it alone. Okay, that's looking good. After some patient use of the pen, I think I've now got a nice coverage. I'm just going to leave these to dry, and I'm going to keep my fingers well away from these, because if you touch them before they've dried properly, it will just dull the chrome. Right, I'm going to hide these away and forget about them until the end of the restoration. I've been investigating why these propellers are not held down whilst Switchblade is in plane mode. And it's very simple. It's really a design flaw in Switchblade itself, and it's to do with this lever. If you look underneath, there's this very, very thin piece of plastic, and this has snapped. I'm not surprised. I've been thinking about how to fix this, and it's actually pretty difficult now. The fortunate thing is that this little piece of plastic hasn't completely broken off. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically use some plastic weld just on that little joint, and hopefully that will hold this little plastic pin in place, and that will be enough to do the job. Last night I used the plastic weld to attach this little broken piece back onto the switch. This morning I thought I'd test the strength of it, and as you can see, it's broken off again, which is not unexpected. It's really actually a piece of poor design. So I've been channeling Dave at Toy Polloi and putting my own problem-solving hat on as well, and I've come up with this as a solution. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but what I'm going to do is add another spring into the Switchblade. I think this is going to be the solution. And actually I wonder why they didn't do this in the first place. So my idea is to take a spring like this, fix it into the switch, somewhere around there, and that will replace what was the plastic spring essentially that's broken. I want to make sure this is a decent fix for Luke. I want to make sure that when he gets this switchblade, it's going to last for years to come. I'm just doing a test run of my idea. I'm just holding everything in place manually at the moment with my hands. You might be able to just see the spring inside there. And the great news is that if I press the lever, you can see it's now springing back. So if I push down the blades, there you are. You can now see the latch is in place. I think we have a solution. Now my final mechanical fix that I need to make is here on the propeller. As you can see, this side of the propeller does not want to clip down onto the base, so you end up with a propeller that's sticking up in the air, and that's no good for flying. Now, I would imagine that obviously when this was new, this was working perfectly okay. So based on my experience of fixing things like this before, I think there's a very, very simple fix, and that is to basically take both these propeller blades off and swap them over. And let's see what happens. Okay, the propeller blades are swapped over. Let's see if we can push them down. One's down. And the other one is down. I knew it. Simple, very simple fix, but satisfying all the same. Fantastic. Right, so that's all the mechanical fixes in place. But as you can see, this thing is really mucky. It's covered in dirt and grime, so my next job is to clean all the pieces before I put it all back together. Here are all the pieces of Switchblade. I'm going to start with the top section and get that back together first. Just cleaning this bomb, there are a few stubborn marks, so a good little trick is some lighter fluid. I'm just going to drop a little bit of that onto the cloth, wipe that over, and that should then remove those stubborn marks. And that is doing the job by the looks of it. Fantastic. One shiny bomb. Whilst I was cleaning this interior piece, I noticed that some of the stickers are now coming loose. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of glue just to make sure they're stuck down. Just using the smallest amount of glue possible, and there you go, sticker now back on plastic. Just going to do the other side. Okay, I've cleaned all the top section pieces. What I'm going to do now is reconstruct this top half, because I know it can be really fiddly to get everything back because MASK figures are full of springs, everything's under tension. So let's try and get this top piece done first. I'm going to try and get the tricky bits in place first, which are these cogs and levers. So if I remember, this cog here is going to go into that slot there. It gives the ability to move back and forth to allow it to push the rotors round. This piece then goes inside the slot and around the cog. And already it's fiddly. Let's try and get this piece in first. That goes in the inside. Push it out. That right around. There we go. So the idea is that slides in and out against the cog here. So I'm going to put this one in. Now I should be able to slide that in and out. Okay. That's step one. Now, here's the other switch that I fixed. You can now see there's a lovely spring attached to the switch. And that should do the job. So let's get that in. Okay, so that's in place. All right, now what's next? I'm going to get the interior. So that's this piece here. And I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, there's another spring. Here we go. So there's a spring that goes on the rotor blade. So that will push the rotor blade up when in helicopter mode. Okay, anything else? I think that's everything in the interior. I'm now going to put the orange lid back on the top. Hopefully all of this stays in place. Okay, that's going over that spring. The base is going over the other spring that I added. And that's in place there. That's nice. One more spring to put in the top, which will push out the button that rotates the blades. Where is that? Here it is. This is going to be fiddly as well to get on, so I can get that end on. I just need to get the other end on. Ah, working with springs. Ugh. Okay. I wonder how many times I'm going to attempt this. Ah, it's on. There we go. So if I hold that in place, just with my hands, just do a test. That's twisting around. Button springing back out. That's great. If I push this down, this is the first time I've done the test all in place now. Why is that not working? I'm not sure why that's not working. I'm going to have to look at that again. That's really annoying. Ah, f*** it. After much trial and error, I believe I now have an appropriate switch with spring. Now, this time I've used a more powerful spring and I've moved the spring just slightly off the fulcrum point there to give it more leverage. And this time it should be job done. So let's put it all back together once again. Okay, we're over one. Okay, we're there. All right, everything's under tension. Let's get the screws in. Screwdriver, there we go. Wow. There we go. Come on, tighten up. It's tightened up. Okay, let's try again. Oh, you need patience for this. Spring goes in. And the base of the cockpit goes on top. Okay, it's under tension. Okay, everything's lining up slot-wise there. Let's see if we can get this screw in properly. There it goes, that's in. Let's make sure we don't forget this piece at the front. It just slides in like so, under there. Okay, the cockpit is in. We have one more spring to put in, this little one here. That's one end. Oh, I hate springs. M.A.S.K vehicles have so many springs in them, they all do. I do think that M.A.S.K vehicles are probably some of the more complicated toys out there. But springs are just so frustrating, especially this sort of thing. Gotta try and clip it over that hook. Oh, this time. Go on, nearly there. That's it, we're on. Okay, we can now test it out. Right, let's try out the rotating blades first. Yep, they still rotate, thank goodness. And the button pushes out. Right, moment of truth. If we can push this down, there we go, and it clips into place and it's now held in place. And now if I press this button on the side, pops up. Yes, we have success. Woohoo! Let's try that again. Push it down, keeps in place, pop the button, out it comes again. Oh yes, I'm super pleased with that. For now, I'm going to put this top to the side and focus on cleaning the base and all the other components here. This sliding piece here is for releasing the bomb. So all the base parts now cleaned, don't need this anymore. Okay, we're on to another tricky part of the process, and that is to put everything back into the base. Now, if you remember when I opened this up, because it was all under tension, everything went flying everywhere, and I spent about an hour trying to work out where everything went back. And I'm glad I did that, because it should make this part of the process much easier. So I'm going to start with the undercarriage here. Now, these legs need to be turned around because the levers on the back there are going to be sprung loaded. I need to make sure these teeth also line up. Like so. Put the spring on the peg on one end. Everything is under tension, which makes this build so difficult to put back together. Go on. Yes, it's on. All right. Next, I'm going to put the wing mechanisms back in place. You know you've got it right when you're able to twist these round like so. Okay, and when this is all put together, this is going to be under tension. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there for now, and then I'll pull this back under tension when I put the top back on. Next we have the side guns. If I told you that this is about the 8th time that I've tried to put this side gun in, I wouldn't be lying, honestly. And I'm not frustrated at all. All right, so each side gun has a slot and a spring that then attaches to the release mechanism. So what you're looking to do is put the slot over a peg here. Oh, I've got the gun on the wrong way around. If I was to tell you this was about the 9th time that I've attempted to put this side gun on, I would not be lying. I would also not be lying to say that my patience is getting just a little bit thin right now, but I'm going to persevere. Okay, so each gun has a slot. There's a spring that goes on the end of the gun, and then there's the release mechanism that fits on the other end of the spring. Now this slot goes over a peg here at the front of the body. And already the release mechanism has come off the spring. Just put that back on, here we go. And then the release mechanism itself has a hole that fits over another peg at the end there. Okay, and I'm just going to leave them sat there resting. Oh, that's one side done. Unfortunately, I've got the other side to do now. Gun slot goes over a peg, and once again the release mechanism has come off the end of the spring. Put the release mechanism on the end of the spring like so, and then we release mechanism over the spring like so, and then the hole over the peg. Ah yes, we're in. Okay, no one sneeze right now. We're nearly there. We're nearly there. I think that's everything in the base ready for the top to go on. And getting the top on is also an operation in its own right. I'm going to take a little break right now. We're getting there. We're at the point now where we're going to perform a marriage and we're going to join together the top and the bottom. There is one thing I forgot from the last stage to add into the base, and that's the tail. So you just need to make sure it's that way round. It then slides in, and that allows the tail to spin up and over. There's a reason I'm going to join the front first, and that's because I need to pull this piece here right back to the tail, and that's going to be under quite heavy tension. So let's join the front piece first, making sure that I don't knock any of the side guns out of position or the triggers. I also need to make sure that these pieces here, the wing mechanisms, end up, there we go, that's fallen into place. So I know that the wing mechanisms are in the slots that they need to be. Now this is the tricky part. What I'm going to do, you can just see here that that mechanism is sticking out here. I want to get hold of it on both sides. Okay, I've got hold of it on both sides now. And now I'm going to pull that mechanism right up to the tail point, and it's quite a lot of pressure there now. And just have that shut if I can. There we go. There. I made that look quite simple, but I have done that several times before. I did a practice runs when I first took it apart. Now I need to just make sure that I hold on to this and get all the screws back in place. I think I'm going to start at the front. Yeah, I think I'll start at the front. Okay. I'll come back and make sure they're tightened up appropriately. At least that's in place, and now the front's not going to pop off on me. I think next I'm going to, do the back ones here, the tail. So there's two at the tail. Screwdriver. There you go. That's one. Okay, so there are other screws to add, but I'm just going to do a quick test. So I'm going to make sure that one, the undercarriage is still working. Awesome. So I'm just going to test that the side guns are actually working. Push those in. That's good. They're remaining in place. And now will they release? Let's see. That one's released. And that one's released. Excellent. Okay, I'm quite confident that that's all in place, looking good. So I'm now going to put the other screws in and make sure this is all secure. So there's a screw that goes in the top here. And then we have two screws that go underneath the wings. And that's the other side. Okay, Switchblade is starting to take shape. Awesome. We're on the final stretch now, and we get to decorate this Switchblade with all the fun pieces. Let's start with the wings. So the way that the wings work is that you take these tabs, and we're just going to turn that around like so, and then you've got a slot on the wing, and we just push that on. That's it. And then we can turn it back like so, and then we'll do the same for the other side. Turn that round that. Slide on the wing in its slot and we're done. And now I can push that back. There we go. Okay, let's get this bomb on. It should be fairly trivial. There we go, it's in. And now we have Miles Mayhem. Let's put him in the cockpit. There we are. Let's put the cockpit glass on top. Let's put the cockpit glass on top. Like so. And now the final two pieces are the ones that I chromed the other day. So I'm just going to try and slide these in. I'm going to put the top in first and then just push it up from underneath. And it should clip in, hopefully. And then the other side. That's it, they're in. Awesome, let's push down the propellers. Bring up the tail. And there we are, Switchblade in plane mode. Awesome. And then all we do is we pull the tail down, push our lever that we fixed, up pops the propeller. We can now push down the propeller. That's now fixed. And we pull the wings back. And now we have helicopter mode. Awesome. One very shiny, complete and fully working Switchblade. And Luke, I know this video is going to go out after you receive this and after your birthday, but happy birthday, mate. I really hope you enjoy this. And if you love these kinds of restorations, I'm sure to do plenty more of these, especially on MASK. I love all the engineering that goes on inside these things. Then subscribe to the channel, give this video a like and comment as well. I always try and respond to the comments. So that's it for now. Until next time, stay vintage, stay safe, and cheers everybody.